are three frowned upon characteristics or mga katangian in the Filipino culture. Of course, there's more. You could comment in the section, comment below to share more. But the first one is it's frowned upon to be mayabang, to be arrogant. We have a saying that, ay, wag tayong mahangin. Hangin is wind. And if someone is arrogant, mayabang, you feel winded. That's the reason why we say, wag kang mahangin. The opposite of that. So things that you would learn here, frowned upon, the opposite is usually things that we value, is to be humble. Okay, to not be full of yourself. One of the couple of ways that we manifest this, when we use a lot of we, kayo, plural, even if you're talking sometimes to a singular person, but you respect them. Kayo ba'y pupunta sa palengke? Are you going to the palengke even though you're speaking to one person? So there's more of a collective, we use a lot of collective pronouns. Because we are a we, there's an understanding that we're related. When someone praise you, a Filipino might say, oh, hindi naman. And if you're coming from the West or raised in the West, you might say that this is misplaced humility. But honestly, maybe some Filipino might feel like they're really not, but most Filipino are really, it is not linked directly to the feeling of being self-confident. Many Filipino might be confident, but they say, oh, hindi naman, because of the teaching of not being full of yourself. I remember, even in the classroom, in the Filipino classroom, there's usually contests. If you win the contest from the school setting, most of the time they don't give the trophy to one person, but it's a trophy for the class. That's one way that I think we teach our children to be humble. Of course, as I always say, there's always a shadow side to anything, any characteristic, any core value when we take it to the extreme. But we're not taking it to the extreme. We're not talking about the extreme at this moment, I should say. The next one, so the first one is wag mayabang. And then secondly, somebody who has walang utang na loob. And utang na loob is debt of gratitude. And sometimes there is a misunderstanding, especially in America, the West, in which utang na loob needs to be repaid in a quantifiable amount. Not necessarily money, but there is a burden of how much how much more do I need to give you so that we would be equal. And that truly is a misunderstanding of the concept. The way that one can repay, which is actually the word is not repay, but to um the word is not to repay. The word is not So the word is not to repay, but to tanaw, which means to look back on, to remember. So the opposite of walang utang na loob is someone who is tumatanaw ng utang na loob, which means that you are not completely indebted, but maybe you are always never forgetting, even just by your own accord. But you might remind the other person, you might thank them once in a while. But basically, you might not even talk about that same event that they help you with, but you are not forgetting the person. So if you are in a position where somebody is really harassing you, I have a video or a article in which sometimes culture can be used in a very negative way, and that when somebody, especially if you're Filipino American, Canadian American, you were born there, you might not know the difference with if somebody's saying it, the reason is culture versus the reason it's just their own experience of maybe childhood, even trauma. So that could be separated. It's not always culture, but then again, there's always a shadow side when we use characteristics, core values in the extreme. So, it's very important to remember to repeat once in a while. Naku, salamat, if not for you, I would not have gone here in America, for instance. So that's the second one. Second one, frowned upon, walang utang na loob. If someone tells you these things, mayabang, wala kang utang na loob. These are things that are like hurtful for a Filipino because that's something that we're taught not to be. The third one, and again, there's so many others. These are just the top three. You can leave comments below. Is somebody who's makasarili. As you know, we're very collective in our mindset. And even young children, if you have siblings that are younger, you might be a kuya, an ate. So when you have those titles, it is in relation to another person. So it's not just a solo individualistic mindset. And so makasarili, the opposite of that is to be mindful of others, to be considerate. That's always the teaching in schools. To not be just uplifting yourself. Kumbaga, we say, may kagandahang loob, the pureness, the goodness of the heart. So, wag tayong makasarili is the third frown upon characteristics o mga katangian sa kulturang Pilipino. Comment below. I'm sharing this because there's a difference in what's frowned upon in America, in many different cultures. And when we understand this, we might understand more our relationships in our home. If you have multi-generational Filipinos, some coming from the Philippines, and or you were born elsewhere, the purpose is that we could understand each other better because we have to survive and thrive in the place that we're living in. And so we have to acculturate ourselves in the values and the characteristics that may be more important in that place of residency over place of origin. So, I hope that's been helpful to you. Let me know what your thoughts are. Marami pong salamat sa pakikinig. I'm sure I missed some, so help me out. Again, this is Roanne Samuels. I'm a licensed psychotherapist here in California. Please visit calamansijuice.com if you enjoy reading other articles. Ingat po!